Miscellaneous beings, I am Miky Vanoušek and you are listening to my voice. Welcome. Káťa Homolková is a 24-year-old law student from Prague who owns and runs the Studovatvusa agency, which sends high school students from Czechia to the USA. She participated in the student exchange herself at the age of 15 and arranged my stay in Oklahoma.
All right. We were talking about
My golf coach.
your golf coach.
So my golf coach was, first of all, we had multiple coaches. And golf.
Of course, it's an American team.
Yeah, and when you play golf, your team consists of 5 members. So girls' golf team has 5 members, and the boys' golf team has 5 spots. Basically, no matter if you're like a big school, medium school, or a small school.
Wait, 5 people, like players?
Yeah, 5 players.
Oh, wow. And then 2 coaches?
Like we had like 3.
3 coaches.
And we were varsity. So Oñate High School had a varsity girls golf team because there were not enough players to be like to JV to like open. But the boys had varsity and then they had JV. So we had like 10 guys playing golf, and we had 10 guys playing golf and 5 girls. So it was us 5 girls, and our number 1 was Amber, and her dad was the head coach. And then another father of another girl was an assistant coach. And then we had a nutrition person.
I see.
Which is really random and really weird.
But it's good. I mean, nutritionists.
Like the parents get, some parents get freakishly involved in their kids' sport, even though they're like 9.
Especially if they're like, we had this mom of one of our players. She was like a widow, and she was taking care of the team like a lot. You know, she would watch our jerseys, just take care of all the stuff.
Yeah.
You know? So you played golf before when you were in Czech
a little
Republic?
bit, but I was a runner.
You were a runner. What does that mean?
Like I ran track. I ran for 100-meter hurdles. So.
And did you try to join cross country?
Well, the thing is, we're really, again, New Mexico is a really, unique state. But there's this rule that exchange students can't join cross country because they had this girl from, I don't know if it's from like Jamaica or Africa, and she basically like beat all of the girls. And in American hats, they think that like all exchange students are pro athletes. So exchange students in New Mexico are not allowed to join, at least in our district, cross country. And the other teams were full because no one told me that I should arrive earlier in order to do tryouts. So
I see.
I had only golf left.
Yeah. We had to do some paperwork with Antonio that we weren't paid by the school to come there and play. And I was like,
yeah.
Have you ever seen me play basketball?
No, they're very strict about sports.
So the one cross-country race I competed in, I couldn't compete officially yet. So that was a bit of a shame, but it was still a very intense experience. You know, we would practice cross-country. Coach was always take us with this bus and then like to some middle of nowhere in the, it was still the night, and it had this special Oklahoma smell. And we would run along these, like in Oklahoma, you would have like blocks of roads. So like every stop sign you would see would be 1 mile. And we would run these like, along these roads. It was very, very intense and very, very special to me. And
I wish I could join cross country. I think it would be a really cool experience, but...
Yeah, and then we also did quite well in cross country, or we competed in the AA class because there was no B class, and we finished, I would hate to lie, 2nd in state. I mean, I was not part of the...
That's really good.
5 people who, there's only like a subset of the team competed in state. It's like the top runners, but... It was still like a team experience, like...
And how many members does the cross-country team have?
I think it was like 12 maybe, like the boys.
Yeah.
So like considering the school only had like 50 people, it's quite a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And it was great. Both also the fact that thanks to it being a very small high school and our coach being very nice to us, we could join like the varsity basketball even though we weren't like very good. So
That's lovely.
yeah. Like we wouldn't, get much playtime during the matches, but it was still
It's for the experience.
yeah. And what I witnessed there, or like the experience I had, is nothing like what I ever experienced in Czech Republic. It's just so much drive to win, you know. And I believe it exists in Czech Republic as well. It's just that in the US it's more common and more accessible to the average person, you know. Those are not like people who are about to become professional athletes. Those are just like average country kids.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
And also what I think plays a big role is like because the education in the US is paid and you have the opportunity to earn a scholarship. How many people get a sports scholarship in the US, you know? Like it's a considerable portion of the population, 1% maybe, top 1%.
You need to be like on a professional level to be able to get a scholarship. Like I have students come to me all the time. They're like, well, I'm going to go with your program for high school, and then I'm going to get a scholarship and go to American University.
Of course.
And I'm like, honey, that's not really like, I mean, it's possible, but like you need to be like literally a pro athlete in order to be able to get a scholarship. If you're talking about a decent college.
I understand that, but at the same time, a lot of people still accomplish it, you know.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So, like their level is extremely high, but it's still. I think it must be like 1% of all people have a scholarship based on their sports. You know,
I
not
would say
necessarily.
even more.
Yeah, and so like basically at that point, you get paid for being an athlete, so you are a professional athlete. So
Yeah.
it's like
If you look at it that way, of
in
course.
a way, like Americans, they have in this head an idea that you can make money by being good at sports. Whereas in Czech Republic, I don't think this even occurs to, you know, like if you compare to.
I mean, you don't really get paid for. I mean, a scholarship works that you don't pay the school the tuition or part of the tuition.
I get it, but okay, so you don't get.
You receive
paid.
money. You
Exactly.
receive some money for being able to play sports on some level.
Exactly. So there is like the ceiling to have sports as something that's contributing significant value into your life, like monetary value. It's much easier to accomplish in the US, and I think it also has a big effect on the way they see sports as like an opportunity to,
get into certain schools, get into certain social circles, and eventually like even support their families.
Yeah. And even I think professional sport must be much bigger in the US than
like 1000%.
Right, so it's just more common for people to make money in this way, and I think it's nice. It's
like imagine how much money goes into high school sport, and not even the high school sport, the middle school, the elementary. Like my friend is like in the Czech government, like looking at the economical fundings of Czech sport, and he always like puts like posts on Facebook like Czech sport is so underpaid, it's like terrible, no, like that's why Czech sport is not doing so well in these international competitions. But if you look at it, like how much money goes into the trainings of the kids, how much money goes into the coaches, into their nutrition, even their attire. They're literally, some of them are training like professional athletes since the age of 4.
And they're steroids. Don't forget the steroids.
Okay, that's another topic. I have not personally witnessed that, but we drank a lot of Gatorade. a lot of Gatorade.
Gatorade in America, it finally made me understand. Have you seen the movie Absurdistan?
No.
It's takes place in the future, and they have this like special lemonade that they use to water plants, and they just do everything with it. And yes, why they're always like, it has electrolytes.
No, the coaches were like, keep snacking, girls, keep snacking, keep on the Gatorade, like take a recess, whatever, no matter why exchange students gain so much weight.
Yeah, but I didn't actually gain surprisingly much fat at all. I just had like, I ate so much in the US, it was incredible. I once had 4 breakfasts.
Well, then you should come to talk to my girls who are going to be exchange students, and they are frantic about gaining weight and getting cellulite.
Yeah, I mean, I gained a lot of weight, but it was
muscle.
Yeah, and also I think bones, and just like...
You gained bones in America.
Yeah, like... no, but when you do exercise, especially like sprinting and stuff like that, jumping around, your bones get more dense, I think. I think that's like a real phenomenon, isn't it?
I mean,
bone density.
I'm a law student. I don't know.
I see. Yeah, our coach, he was a very special person, and I really hope I'm going to have him on my podcast, because he was just one of these incredible people.
They are so inspirational, and they have so much effect on you. It's the same with my coaches. Like, I heard one of the coaches that I actually had even a class. It was called professional fitness, but it was basically like a Chinchi term for weightlifting, and he died like 3 years ago. Like, it made me so emotional and so teary, because even though I only knew him like 10 months, he had such an effect on me, and he was always so positive, and yeah.
Our coach, he was a bit bipolar, let's say. So he would like have a very strong mood swings.
What does it mean?
Okay, so it's like if you are winning, you would be the nicest guy ever, usually. But if the players were performing poorly, he would be so tough on them, and not even just like male players. He during the year also had to take over the girls' team for various reasons. He would be so tough on them. It was like, he would scream like into their faces how they're absolutely incompetent. He was just like very emotional about it.
Did you ever throw up or fainted during a practice?
I did not. I was very close to doing that during the cross-country race, or like after finishing the cross-country race. Cross-country finishes smell like vomit. That's but it was because like it has like 5 kilometers, and you run like 1 small lap and 2 bigger ones, like at this particular race, and like you're running as fast as you can, and you meet your coach, right? He's standing at the side, and he's like, "You gotta take one. Go take one." So you look at the guy in front of you, and he's not like that far away, but he's running pretty fast. So like you increase the tempo just a little bit, and over like the next maybe kilometer, you close the gap, and then you finally take him. And suddenly you're running by principle, and he's like, "Take another one. You gotta take another one." You're like, "Oh fuck." And so like this way you overrun like 4 or 5 people. At the end, I think that was probably one of the worst feelings I've ever had. And I came up with this idea. No one I described it to ever liked it, and I think it's because they don't know the feeling. But it's like I felt like I'm about to die. And I realized maybe I wasn't that far away from it. I was like, people used to like kill animals like this. So what if we had like a cross-country event where we would let a deer run away from us, chase it to death? It's like
I don't support this.
Someone might call it animal cruelty, but I feel like shit as well. So it's more of a like I think it's
I
a
mean,
fair
future
fight.
exchange students are listening to us, and I would really like them to participate as much as possible. So maybe move to another topic because now you're
Okay.
scaring me.
Okay. But you understand my idea.
No, like the sports are really intense, and I had multiple kids not dying but fainting or vomiting or hurting or injuring themselves.
Yeah, but that's just part of practice. Our coach.
It's part of the experience. That's why you get so close with your teammates.
Yeah. It's whenever like a common trauma bonds people.
Exactly,
together.
trauma bonds people.
Yeah. So our coach, he would be very emotional. He once told his son that he needs to change his last name because he's an embarrassment to the name Flory. He was just but at the same time, he was very so interesting. He was this kind of. He used to grow up on the street, and once he used to have this like not literally on the street, just like in the hood. And
in the hood.
Yeah.
Get it.
And,
Oklahoma hood.
And he would like gather these when he was older. Like he would gather these kids from the street after his army experience, and he would just like kids that weren't like properly taken care of by their parents. They were at work and they were just like hanging around the neighborhood. And he started this like basketball team, and he once like bragged to us. Only 3 of them went to prison.
What an accomplishment.
Right? And I seriously trust that much would have been much more,
Oh, of course.
were it
yeah.
not for him. Yeah. What was your experience like with religion in the U.S.? Did you go to church, and what were your church experiences?
Oh, of course I went to church. My first host family didn't go to church, but my second host family, my host mom was the tax person for the church, so we went in, and it was African American Baptist church where my host mom was an active member of. Oh, we would go every Sunday, no question, unless I had a golf tournament. And we were there for like 3 or 4 hours. We had donuts, we had coffee, and I was even a member of the church choir. And because I was the only white person, oh really? Yeah, I was a part of the kids choir. Because I was the only white person there, I was put to stand in the middle. So the black kids, it would be like symmetry, and I also wore white dress. And my host sister Charlotte, it was on a Wednesday evening that this church choir thingy, she had a softball practice, so I was the only white person in the church. It was really an intense experience because it was not like church I knew from the visits with my grandma in the like south of Moravia. They talk about life, they don't really talk about Jesus and like or read the Bible. It's like a mentorship kind of. Like they talk about life, they talked about how you should treat others, and it's a social event. It truly is a social event.
Did you enjoy it?
I mean, it was boring, but that's what you do. And we went to lunch afterwards, so I liked that.
And did you not have lunch there? We always used to have like lunch.
We had the breakfast. So my host mom would always like buy boxes and boxes of donuts for the old black ladies. And we had donuts and coffee, and that was nice, but we never had lunch there.
Yeah, that's the thing with Americans. They have so much free junk food around. Like, it's like, and it's impossible to like
avoid it.
Yeah, like it's a free junk food. You just can't say no.
I mean, if a donut costs $1 and a fresh apple in New Mexico costs $2.50.
Yeah, and you get the donut for $1 for free at church.
Yeah.
And we would even have like free breakfasts and free lunch because it was paid by the Masonic Lodge, which is Oklahoman oil money lobby. And yeah, it's really funny. I actually won this essay competition, and it was like sponsored by the Masonic Lodge, who were like they are literally people who are just trying to like persuade people to vote for drilling. And to gain popularity in the region, they do stuff like that, you know, support schools and students. And I, at the point where they like announced the results of the competition, weren't even in the US, and I wasn't even officially a senior, and I just took English with seniors, and they were like the lady was so nice, like the who administered the check, like she sent it to me to Czech Republic.
Oh.
I don't think that was like, you know, like fully the purpose of the of the money, and it was a very rare thing where like
How much did you win?
it was $500,
That's a lot of money.
and it wasn't a scholarship, it was just like cash, you know what I mean? Like usually those
Yeah.
competitions are like scholarships, you get them on like special accounts you can pay college and nothing else with.
Yeah.
But it's so nice, you know.
Yeah. So kids, write essays and win. You get money.
Yeah, worth it. We were
So we covered sport. We covered religion.
oh, religion. No, we didn't. I didn't talk about my church.
Tell me about your Oklahoma church.
Okay, so first of all, isn't it interesting that churches are so segregated in the U.S.? Why do you think that is? I always kind of just glossed over it. You know, like
What do you mean by segregated?
like as in there are black churches, and like in our church, there was no one black. You know what I mean? Like churches are just pretty segregated, it sounds like.
I mean, I never like experienced racism in my black church being a white girl.
I don't think that.
They were nice to me. They thought I'm an orphan.
Oh.
They asked me if I'm orphan, and because my English at the beginning wasn't like that good, I thought they're asking me if I'm homesick. So I said, oh yeah, I am. And then the old black lady started to give me money. And then my host mom found out that, like, I told them that I'm an orphan. And by the way, my Czech parents are wonderful. They're still alive. They still support me. And my host mom was pretty mad about it because, like, I received over $100 just, like, by saying that I'm an orphan. I mean, I turned some of it back, but some of the ladies, like, they never came back to that church.
Oh,
so,
no. Also a way to make money in the US.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the people in my church were racist necessarily either. I don't think they were racist, period. Oh yeah, I mean, my host brothers were black. I just now remembered. But other than that, it was a very white, like, you know, they had the U experience. The two black guys in a white church. And our church, it was open worship. So that means like during the service, people would like scream "Amen" and
Oh yeah.
God's word. And sometimes like during singing, people would even do stuff like, of course, clap and stand. But even like I've seen people start running around the church like in circles around the benches.
Or they would dance and they would sing out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did it at my church too.
And there was this. I didn't later stop attending the services. I don't know. You don't believe in God, do you?
I would say religion is a very private part.
I see. So you don't want to
It's a
talk about
personal
it.
thing. I don't think my religion or my beliefs are like for other people to listen to. I think that's like the same with relationships. That's just very private what I believe
I see.
in.
So was that when you were in the U.S.? Is this also what you told them?
Yeah.
I see.
When they asked me, because my host family, the second one was they were religious to a part where like you can't have sex until you're married. When you behave badly, you will not go to heaven. The devil will take you.
But did you know that if you never get married, it's not premarital sex?
That's a very, again, personal, private thing, but I didn't agree with everything that my host mom was telling my 8-year-old host brother. And when they asked me like, so what's your opinion? And me being thankfully mature enough to say, well, I have my own faith, I have my own religion, and I just believe in what I believe, and that's very private, and I respect what you believe in, and please be respectful to my approach.
I see. Yeah, I don't think I handled that part very well. And because like I am not religious, and I was quite open about the fact. Like if they asked me, I was like, no, I'm not a religious person, you know. And I think it was probably a big.
You close a lot of doors by saying that.
Yeah, I know. But at the same time, I think it's in a way important sometimes to not water it down. Like it's a bit of a like a principle thing, you know. Like I think that people need to be exposed to the fact that not everyone is religious, and that some people are, you know, just fine. And you know, because I think in the United States, at a lot of those places like rural Oklahoma, it's kind of a taboo, you know. Like there are in America, there's so many like closet atheists, people who just like personally don't believe it anymore, but just don't bother their surroundings with it, you know. Like when they come home for Christmas, they don't tell their mom, you know, like I have some doubt. No, they just it's actually like more common than people realize. Over 25% of people in the US are not religious, and the vast majority of them are like in closet. Yeah, but I think it was the big part of the reason why we eventually parted ways. Because yeah, it was
with your host family.
Yeah. I mean, church was a very big thing. Like it was church, watching TV, and working at the garden was like the top 3 family activities. You know what I mean?
And that's like that for most American host families.
Yeah. And that just wasn't very, you know, like it wasn't exactly what I like to do. So it seemed to them like we don't have much in common.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved to my coach. That was really interesting, fun. So we lived. I don't know if you remember the story at all, but you have a lot of kids. I moved to this like trailer house basically, and they had like a farm, but it was pretty far away from the school. So it was just much more convenient for them. The trailer house belonged to the school, and it was very interesting. You know, it was 4 of us living there. And actually, the very first night I spent at my coach's, he came back late, and he was like, "Man, I was putting this horse in a carriage. It's kicked his foot, got stuck. Tried to get it out for hours and hours, but I had to shoot it. It would take forever to heal anyway. So the next day, we would go to the farm, you know, and there's the dead horse, and also like a lot of brain, blood, and vomit spilled everywhere. And it's like, it's an angle you're not used to seeing horses from, you know, like dead with one of his legs up. And so we like, it was 4 of us that tried to like, with a giant crowbar, get
Nicholas, I'm really happy that you're sharing this with me. I'm honestly so happy that I get to be a part of this kind of experience.
Right.
Just let's keep it positive. So like,
okay, yeah, it's a positive
people
story.
Don't get
no, it was a really interesting. Like,
So you enjoyed your time in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
Well,
I mean, you came back after almost 3 years.
You should let me finish the story. This way, people.
No, I'm just scared what's gonna happen.
No, it's nothing that's terrible. We just had to cut the leg off, and we did a country funeral. That's when you drag the horse at the end of the pasture, and you leave it there for the coyotes. But it was a experience I never would have had in Czech Republic, and it's honestly my favorite story to tell people. You know, like, what have you ever experienced?
So you've been an exchange student in America during a coronavirus.
Exactly.
And out of all of the experiences with school, with family, with basketball, you tell the story about how your second host dad shot a horse, and then you threw a funeral for the dead horse.
No. Country funeral, that's not a literal funeral. That's just when you don't bury it. You just drag it and leave it.
Okay.
And
Dead horse.
it's a funny story. People love it. Some people. No, but it's something I never would have experienced in the Czech Republic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think our pastures are big enough for this kind of.
I honestly don't think legally you can treat animals like that.
I think in the U.S. you can.
I mean, in the U.S., do whatever.
It's a free country.
Yeah, I mean, you can shoot people when they enter your backyard.
Unless it comes to the dress code in schools, suddenly the U.S. forgets its freedom ideal and dictates the length of your shorts. It was just so funny to me always, when they would measure the length of someone's short. Isn't it funny to you?
I mean, I'm American by heart and by birth, being born on the Independence Day, so I'm biased.
So you think it's a good idea to have?
I mean, when I was 15 and 16, I would not wear shorts that short. Partially because American high schools, even though outside temperature was around 40 degrees Celsius, were 16 inside with the AC on. So I would never wear shorts in my high school, even in New Mexico, because I would freeze to death. It's the same with spaghetti straps. But for example, what made me mad is that I was not able to have a locker because I was told that I could hold a gun there and I could hide drugs. And
wait, couldn't everyone do that?
Yes. So I think only athletes and the seniors and the National Honor Society had lockers.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but my only locker was for my PE class.
Yeah, it's like Americans, they don't mess around. They would do these lockdowns at our school and
drills and fire
doors.
Drills. Yeah,
but they would lock everyone in their room and then bring police dogs and pick people and drug test them.
Yeah.
And it's
So have you been drug tested in America?
I have not.
Did your school have their own police department?
No, it was 50 people.
I mean, my school had. We had our own police dogs.
Of course, but you had how many people there?
Over 4,000. So how many teachers did you have? We had hundreds.
I have no idea, frankly. It was quite a bit because the average size of a class was 20 tops, but maybe more 15. And at the high school even lower for some reason. I think it's because people are dropping out, getting pregnant, getting jobs. Getting pregnant.
Yeah. Not my favorite topic.
Made a face. I had this girl go to church with me. She was 15 and had a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
It's just Oklahoma.
No, it's not Oklahoma. It's New Mexico as well. And the lowest average age of a first-time mom is the lowest in Alabama, where it's literally the age is 17 and something, where the average woman has their first baby. In Czech, it's 30. And New Mexico is its own continent, but my high school even had our own kindergarten, where the high school students would drop their kids, and then you could take a class where you would take care of your classmates' kids.
Yeah.
It's called child development.
What a class. Sounds more like child labor.
I mean...
Yeah, I mean, pregnancies, it's they don't even seem to be... I think in part it's because Americans, because of their religion, see the sexuality as a taboo topic. So they don't educate their
at all
children. We had sex ed at school, but I know it's not at every school in Oklahoma.
We didn't in New Mexico.
And,
we didn't.
We didn't. It wasn't us personally. I know some younger kids got it, and they sometimes just have no idea how this stuff works.
I mean that you can get pregnant when you have sex,
or what the probability is, right? They just don't think about it that well.
I mean, I'm 24 years old, and I would say majority of my former classmates in New Mexico have 2 to 3 to 4 kids, and they're on their second or third husband.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You gotta enjoy your life. Wouldn't it be a shame to spend it all with one husband? Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a
different culture.
Yeah.
People are seeking different culture. Well, you have a different culture.
Yeah, and it's like my original host parents were pretty young because they had children pretty early. Yet they were very protective of their children. I once wanted to like go out with a female, but it wasn't like really a date. It wasn't just the two of us, you know.
So you would just like hang out.
Yes. But like I was told that I'm not old enough to date. I was like 17. I'm doing the math correctly. It's like about the time, plus minus 6 months. You're already pregnant, but I didn't say it. It's just like what I was thinking. You know what I mean? Like
American parents are overly protective of their kids when they're living at home, so until they're 17, and when they go off to college, that's when they start acting like crazy animals. You have these university or college parties where people get basically they fall asleep after drinking 3 bottles of vodka, and they get alcohol poisoning just because they were not used to anything until college.
Definitely, yeah. It's so exactly the attitude my first host parents had. Like they even told me like my son Doug, when he went to college he just partied and lost his scholarship. He has a baseball scholarship, and it's like, and in order to prevent this in the future, or like because of this, I need to like make sure my grandchildren, until they're living with me, I have everything under control, check everything and stuff.
They even check their social media.
Yeah, check their phones, messages.
Yeah, for us, for Czech people, we are very liberal when it comes to taking care of high school students or middle class or middle school students. The Czech parents are very liberal, and when the kids go to America, some people have major issues with their host families being what they call like privacy breach. But I always like to tell them it's a different culture.
Yeah.
Like it's a different culture.
But how do you suggest resolving that? Like my host parents luckily
adapt.
Didn't.
Like you are the guest at their house.
Makes
adapt.
Sense. Yeah, my host parents luckily didn't want to check my phone. I think that would have been
No. Like host families don't check the exchange student's phone, but they are very closely monitoring who they're going out with, at what time they are coming back, and yeah.
Yeah, that was not really a thing we were allowed to do much. Once, twice. It was a very rare thing. They were very, protective. It was they also had this, giant property with, a lake on it. And, it was just, almost a kingdom. You know what I mean? It was, kilometers squared. I don't even know how big it is because I've never been, to the edges. Well, when we took the bus home, Richard would pick us up at, the end of the driveway.
I think recommendations are a great way for this podcast to generate more value for both me and you. Note that I was not paid or asked to say this. While other agencies will just take care of the paperwork, Káťa sees it as her job to prepare you for everything that you will encounter in the US. Just to give you an example, she explained to us that American parents tend to be less privacy sensitive towards their children. My friend who went with a different agency only found this out when his host mom asked him to install an app that let her see his location at all times. So if you or your loved one want to go from Czech Republic to the USA for a high school exchange, I strongly encourage you to consider Studovatvusa agency.